Write an engaging and emotional story based on the title. I'm just returning this envelope, she said. The millionaire laughed, until the real owner walked in. Begin the story with hook who joins the viewers at the end. Immediately capture attention. Also motive viewers to like video and subscribe the channel. Develop the plot with emotional depth and relatable characters, including key challenges and their resolutions. Ensure the story maintains a smooth pace suitable for an 400-minute YouTube video, leaving a strong, inspiring message by the end. Plain paragraphs but long story as you can based on 3,000-word estimate. Imagine this, a bustling city street on a rainy afternoon, where fate hangs in the balance like a forgotten umbrella. A young woman, soaked to the bone, clutches a worn envelope in her trembling hands as she steps into the opulent lobby of a towering skyscraper. Her eyes are wide with determination, but her heart pounds with fear. Little does she know, this simple act of returning what isn't hers is about to unravel a web of secrets, laughter, and tears that will change lives forever. If you're hooked already, and trust me, you will be by the end, hit that like button right now and subscribe to the channel for more heart-pounding stories that remind us of the power of integrity. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Her name was Elena Ramirez, a 28-year-old single mother working 2 jobs just to keep the lights on in her cramped apartment. Life hadn't been kind to Elena. Born in a small town where dreams were as scarce as opportunities, she moved to the city 5 years ago after her husband's sudden death in a construction accident. Left with a toddler and mounting bills, she scraped by as a waitress by day and a cleaner by night. Her son, Mateo, was her world. A bright-eyed 4-year-old with a laugh that could melt the hardest heart. But lately, even that laugh had grown quieter. The daycare costs were eating into her savings, and the landlord had just hiked the rent. Elena often lay awake at night, wondering if she'd ever catch a break. It all started on a Tuesday morning, the kind of day that blends into the next without fanfare. Elena was on her way to her cleaning gig at a high-end office building downtown. The rain had started unexpectedly, turning the sidewalks into slick rivers. As she hurried along, dodging puddles, her foot caught on something half buried in the mud near a park bench. She bent down and pulled out a thick, sealed envelope. It was plain white, slightly damp, with no address or name on it. Curiosity got the better of her. She peeked inside. Her breath caught in her throat. Stacks of crisp $100 bills stared back at her, at least $10,000, maybe more. For a split second, the world stopped. This could pay off her debts, buy Mateo new clothes, even afford a doctor's visit for his lingering cough. But Elena wasn't wired that way. Her abuela had raised her on stories of honor and karma, whispering tales of how the universe rewards those who do right, even when it's hard. Honesty isn't just a choice, mija, her grandmother would say, it's the armor that protects your soul. Shaking off the temptation, Elena tucked the envelope into her bag and continued to work. That night, after putting Mateo to bed, she examined it closer. Tucked among the bills was a small business card, Victor Hargrove, CEO, Hargrove Enterprises. A quick online search revealed he was a self-made millionaire, known for his ruthless business tactics and lavish lifestyle. His office was in the very building she cleaned. Fate, it seemed, had a sense of humor. The next day, Elena mustered her courage. She dressed in her best outfit, a faded blouse and skirt from a thrift store, and headed to Hargrove's penthouse office. The receptionist, a polished woman with a skeptical gaze, eyed her up and down. "Do you have an appointment?" she asked, her tone dripping with disdain. "No, but I found something that belongs to Mr. Hargrove," Elena replied, her voice steady despite the knot in her stomach. "An envelope. I just want to return it." The receptionist smirked and buzzed the intercom. Minutes later, Elena was ushered into a sprawling office overlooking the city skyline. Victor Hargrove sat behind a massive oak desk, his salt and pepper hair impeccably styled, his suit worth more than Elena's annual salary. He looked up from his computer, amusement flickering in his eyes. "Well, Well, he said, leaning back in his chair. What do we have here? A good Samaritan? Elena placed the envelope on his desk. I'm just returning this envelope, she said simply. I found it on the street yesterday. It has your card inside. Hargrove picked it up, flipping it open. His eyebrows shot up at the sight of the cash, but then he burst into laughter, a deep, mocking rumble that echoed off the walls. Oh, this is rich. You expect me to believe you just found this? Come on, sweetheart. What's the angle? Blackmail? A lawsuit? I've seen every trick in the book. Elena's cheeks burned. No angle, sir. I just thought it was the right thing to do. He laughed harder, wiping a tear from his eye. The right thing? In this city? Please. People like you don't return money, they pocket it and run. Tell you what, keep 100 for your trouble. Consider it a tip for the entertainment. Humiliation washed over her, but she stood her ground. I don't want your money. I want to know I did what's right for my son. Hargrove waved her off, still chuckling. Security. Escort this woman out before she tries something else. As the guards approached, the door swung open. In walked a man in his late 50s, dressed in a simple flannel shirt and jeans, his face weathered by years of hard work. He carried a toolbox and looked utterly out of place in the luxurious office. Victor, he said, his voice gruff but familiar. I got your message about the missing payment. Hargrove's laughter died instantly. His face paled as he stared at the newcomer. Dad? What are you doing here? Elena froze. Dad? This unassuming man was the father of the millionaire? The older man, Arthur Hargrove, spotted the envelope on the desk. That's mine, he said, pointing. I must have dropped it yesterday when I was fixing that bench in the park. Had to pay the crew in cash, old habits die hard. Victor's eyes darted between his father and Elena. You mean this isn't some scam? Arthur shook his head, turning to Elena with a warm smile. Young lady, did you find this? She nodded, still processing the twist. Yes, sir. On the street near the park. Arthur's eyes softened. Bless you. That's 2 weeks' wages for my team. We're independent contractors, small jobs, nothing fancy. Without this, we'd be in a bind. Victor slumped in his chair, the arrogance draining from his face. For the first time, Elena saw vulnerability there, a man who'd built walls so high he'd forgotten his roots. As the story unfolded in that office, layers peeled back like an onion, revealing the emotional core beneath. Victor Hargrove hadn't always been the cold tycoon. Born to Arthur, a hard-working carpenter, and his late wife, Maria, Victor grew up in a modest home where money was tight but love was abundant. Arthur taught him the value of labor, fixing furniture and building homes with his bare hands. But Victor craved more. At 18, he left for the city, armed with ambition and a scholarship. He built his empire from scratch, acquiring companies, amassing wealth. Yet, success came at a cost. He distanced himself from his father, embarrassed by the simple life. Calls home grew rare, visits non-existent. Arthur, heartbroken but proud, continued his quiet existence, occasionally sending Victor money from odd jobs, not because his son needed it, but as a reminder of where he came from. The envelope? It was Arthur's latest gift. Cash from a big renovation project, meant to surprise Victor during a rare lunch meeting. But Arthur, ever the klutz in the rain, had lost it en route. Elena listened as father and son confronted years of unspoken pain. I laughed at her, Victor admitted, voice cracking. I thought she was like everyone else, out for themselves. But Dad, she's more like you than I'll ever be. Arthur placed a hand on his son's shoulder. It's not too late, Victor. Honesty isn't just about money. It's about facing who you are. Tears welled in Elena's eyes. This wasn't just about the envelope anymore. It mirrored her own struggles, raising Matteo without his father, clinging to integrity amid desperation. "I know what it's like to feel alone," she said softly. "But family, that's worth more than any fortune." The room fell silent, heavy with emotion. Victor, humbled, turned to Elena. "I'm sorry. Truly. How can I make this right?" She hesitated. "Just, be kind. To strangers, to your dad. That's enough." But Victor insisted. He wrote her a check, not as a handout, but as a reward for her honesty. $10,000, matching what she'd found. "Use it for your son," he said. "And please, come work here. We need someone with your integrity in HR." Elena accepted, not for the money, but for the chance at stability. As she left, Arthur hugged her. "You're an angel, Elena. Thank you for bringing my son back to me." In the weeks that followed, lives transformed. Elena's new job at Hargrove Enterprises gave her flexible hours and benefits. Matteo got the medical care he needed, his cough vanishing like a bad dream. She even enrolled him in a better preschool, watching his laughter return in full force. Victor and Arthur mended their rift. Lunches became weekly rituals, where the millionaire traded boardroom stories for his father's tales of craftsmanship. Victor started a foundation for single parents, inspired by Elena's story, donating millions to help those in need. He learned that true wealth wasn't in bank accounts but in connections, the ones he'd nearly lost. Challenges abounded along the way. Elena faced skepticism from colleagues who whispered about her lucky break. She proved them wrong with hard work, rising through the ranks on merit. Victor grappled with guilt, therapy sessions uncovering the abandonment fears that fueled his cynicism. Arthur, battling arthritis from years of labor, found solace in his son's renewed attention, even joining the company as a consultant for ethical building practices. One evening, months later, Elena sat with Matteo on their new balcony, overlooking a park not unlike the one where it all began. "Mama, why did you give back the money?" he asked, his small hand in hers. "Because, mi amor, doing the right thing makes the world a little brighter. And sometimes, it comes back to you in ways you never expect." Matteo grinned. "Like magic?" "Like kindness," she replied. The story of Elena, Victor, and Arthur spread quietly through the city, a whisper of hope in a cynical world. It reminded people that integrity isn't outdated, it's revolutionary. In a society quick to judge and slow to trust, one act of honesty can bridge divides, heal wounds, and spark change. And that's the power of this tale, folks. It's not just a story, it's a reminder that no matter how tough life gets, holding on to your values can lead to unexpected miracles. If this moved you, and I bet it did, smash that like button to show your support, and subscribe for more inspiring narratives that touch the heart and uplift the spirit. Who knows? Your next favorite story might be just one click away. Thanks for watching, and remember, honesty always wins.